Welcome to episode 32 of the Before the Score podcast. What's up, everyone? I'm Steve Samra, and we're going to start with the New York Mets. If you couldn't tell by my hat, we're going to start with the bad news, though, if you consider it bad news, that Yoenis Cespedes, after going missing, opted out of the 2020 season. Let me hear your thoughts on this one, boys.
Now, this definitely sucks because they lose that power element in their lineup. Cespedes is the kind of spark plug that offense needed. You saw him on opening day. That's the reason they won that game. But you also, on the other side of it, can look at it as it gives other people the opportunity to use that DH spot because Cespedes was not playing left field. His body wasn't ready to play left field. He couldn't play left field without getting hurt. So now it gives guys like Dom Smith and JD Davis who don't have a natural position to kind of get in the lineup more regular and get those young guys those at-bats they need. You look at like Cano going down with an injury, McNeil, Rosario. It's going to give a lot of playing time to a lot of guys like Jimenez, Dom Smith, JD Davis. These kind of guys are just going to have their opportunity now. So it just opens the door for someone else to step up.
Well, the reports I saw, I didn't see that Cespedes was opting out because of coronavirus. It looked to me, from what I've seen, that he just pretty much gave up on the team. And judging from his history with the Mets, you know, how much he loved the team, you know, the 2015 run, he carried that team to the playoffs. And his whole tenure, he said how much he loved the fan base and everything. It took me by surprise when I saw Cespedes opted out. I mean, if it is for corona reasons, it was a little late, so I don't know why you go through all that to just opt out a few games in. But when you see the Mets are doing bad and this guy just quits on your team, it gives you a little bad taste in your mouth. So I'm a little pissed about this. You know, it is a minor setback. Cespedes is a great bat in the lineup. But like Andrew said, there's a lot of guys that could step up. I mean, the season's almost chalk right now. So if they could somehow get on a run, great. But if not, give these guys, these young guys, a chance. I mean, it's a shortened season. There's not really much to play for. Even if there is a World Series champion, how much are we going to really say that they are the World Series champion? So at this point in the stage, get the young guys going, get ready for next year.
Yeah, Yoenis Cespedes, he's an Icarus. He flew too close to the sun. This whole Mets tenure ever since 2015, 2016 just has not worked out. He's been breaking his ankles on his ranch doing God knows what. Out for the last 3 years. Mets fans have just been having these dreams of 2015. He's going to come back and lead us to victory. Opening day, that's probably the best you're going to get of Cespedes in a Mets uniform since 2015. He gave us one win this year. It's one more win than some players would give us, but it is definitely disappointing. But like Dan said, Cespedes definitely, it doesn't seem like he opted out for coronavirus reasons. He opted out because of the bullpen blues. This guy, he saw the Mets giving up 14 runs in a game. He saw us about to get swept by Atlanta, and he said, what am I doing here? I can go chill at home, be alone, not get at risk to get anybody sick, and come back to some other place next year. His time in New York, it'll always be looked at as a roller coaster because that's what he was. He was an enigma. He was a roller coaster. He burned too hot and he burned himself out. And that's what I'll remember about Yoenis Cespedes as a New York Met because I think his time is up.
But the thing with that is him opting out, 7-8 games in the season, he hasn't played in pretty much 2 years. So what team is really going to give him the money that he's going to want next year? There's no way any team's going to give him more than a year deal. And maybe he'll get $10 million if he's lucky on a 1-year deal. I don't see him getting a long-term deal after this. So he's going to have to prove himself again. This should have been his prove-it year where he could get a contract and go from there. But from now, he just set his career back. He's only getting older. So I don't understand his approach at all.
No, if you're in Cespedes, you can't opt out and still, have a ton of confidence that you're going to have a longer MLB career. He is getting up there in age. He's above 30 years old. He's been injured for the past 2 years. You can't trust him even if he's willing to play and he's not opting out. You still don't know what you're going to get from him. He could have not opted out and broke his ankle a week later, and then his stock plummets just as well. If you're a team and you're looking at the 2021 season, you cannot bank on getting anything out of Yoenis Cespedes. His bat isn't proven. He hit 2 home runs for the Mets, but he wasn't lighting the world on fire. He wasn't hitting that great where the bat's going to be there. It's not worth taking a risk unless it's a very, very cheap deal. But I don't know if Cespedes is willing to play on a cheap deal because you look at what he's shown you this year is that he doesn't care that much about playing baseball. He doesn't care that much about money because he doesn't need it. He's made a ton of money in his career. So he's not going to play for some random team for like the veterans minimum. So I don't know if anyone's going to give him what he's willing to take.
Yeah, like Andrew said, I don't think Cespedes is just – I don't think he's willing to play. I don't think he wants to play. I don't think he loves baseball anymore. You just fall out of love with things. And I think Cespedes is more in love with working on his farm, with golfing, with smoking cigars with his best friends, with spending time with his family. I think that is what Yoenis Cespedes loves now. He does not love baseball, but baseball allowed him to do these things and do them often. And he's just fallen out of love with the game that he used to love. And it happens. You can't fault a guy for it happening, but it happens. It sucks for the Mets and Mets fans that he was just happened to be on the Mets when it did happen. But I really don't see him ever going for a minor league contract, for a 1-year prove-it deal under $1 million or something. And no team, Dan said $10 million. I wouldn't even give him $1 million. He's proved to be very untrustworthy. He's proved that he just doesn't love the game anymore. It happens, and it happens to this guy.
Well, guys, I've sat back and I've just listened to you guys speak. Obviously, this is a Mets issue. This is a Mets problem. And as a Yankee fan, you know, I'm an outsider. I'm looking from the outside in. So I can only, you know, bring together my points as much as I can. But if you're a Mets fan, you have to be absolutely thrilled that this guy, this headache, is off your team. This guy, aside from that one amazing 2015, the second half, he really hasn't done much but just bring drama and problems to this organization. You know, whether it be getting injured or whether it be, you know, doing things that he's not supposed to, like golfing or, you know, just acting stupid, you know, showing up to the games on these rich cars. You know, he was just always in the spotlight for everything other than baseball. Now, the fact that this guy is, you know, very early into the season just saying, you know what, I'm done, and not even telling anybody that he's done. I mean, what kind of person does that? This is not the type of person, whether or not he does perform, that's not the type of guy you want for your team. And if you're a Met fan, personally, I'm a Yankee fan, and I would be absolutely thrilled if this guy were off my team. This guy's a headache, and we may never see another Yoenis Cespedes signing ever again.
Well, here's the double-edged sword of this whole thing. You say, media says, Mets have said that Yoenis Cespedes just got up and left, cleaned his hotel room out, left, didn't even tell him, didn't even text him, just walked out. Yoenis Cespedes' agent says that he informed the Mets, and the Mets didn't tell the team. And the team seems to not be at odds with Yoenis Cespedes. They seem to still be on good graces. They've all said kind words about them. Now, that could just be the Mets players being good guys. But it also could be that Yoenis Cespedes did inform them, or they believe that his agent. And that could be a bigger problem, because then the Mets, it proves there is a disconnect between the players and upper management. So I want to know what you guys think. Who do you believe in this situation?
This is just terrible ownership. There should have already been a statement out clarifying this issue from ownership. So not being a statement, I'm more inclined to believe Cespedes and his agent at this point, you know. So this is where we go back to that whole Mets debate of who's the best owner. At this point, it really doesn't matter. Just get the Wilpons out, because you see stuff like this that affects the team again and again. I can't take it. It's obviously on them.
I mean, you have to fault Brody Van Wagenen as much as you fault the Wilpons. If you're blaming the Mets, and the Mets have done nothing for the past decade, 2 decades to warrant any benefit of the doubt, so you have to just trust Cespedes' agent that it's a lot more likely that the agent or Cespedes himself told someone on the team that he wasn't going to be at the game and he was opting out of the season. It's very rare that a player would just pack their bags and leave without saying anything, no matter what job it is. It doesn't matter if you're making $1 million, you're working at Walmart. You don't just drop out and just never show up again. So I have to believe that someone said something to someone on the Mets, and the Mets kind of use this as an opportunity to make themselves look better and make Cespedes look like the bad guy for opting out, saying, oh, we don't know where he is. He just kind of quit on the team. He bailed on the team. So to make themselves look better. And the Mets always do this weird smear campaign. Whenever there's bad relations with a player, they always try to make the player look worse than they are. I can't trust this organization, so I have to take the player side.
Well, guys, I'm actually going to surprise you, and I actually agree with the Mets, and I do think that the Mets had absolutely no idea, because if you're looking at it from an ownership, perspective, you have to know if a guy is in or out. So for a guy like Yoenis Cespedes, if he tells his agent, you know what, look, I don't want to play anymore, let the team know. You're telling me that his agent won't tell at least one person in that organization? Now, I understand there might be a disconnect between the Mets ownership and, you know, whoever got the message and didn't, formally tell them the information, but that doesn't make any sense. To me, This sounds to me like Cespedes. He woke up one day. He's like, you know what? I'm done. I don't want to play. And this just goes to show you the type of person that he is. He probably didn't know what he wanted to do until sometime in that day when he informed the agent about what he wanted to do. So this to me is something where I don't think the Mets I don't think they knew anything, because if they did, they would have put in that stupid statement that they didn't know where he was.
You just explained multiple plausible scenarios where the Mets would be at fault, and then you say, I don't believe it. Cespedes is at fault. I don't get
No, it doesn't make any sense, because I don't get how you could be so – I mean, I get Cespedes isn't the perfect character and he's not the best clubhouse guy. He's been kind of a distraction at times. But, I mean, this is a season where you can't really fault anyone for opting out no matter what time it is. I mean, you can say that he's given up on the team, but you look at all the teams around the baseball, and the Cardinals are now getting outbreaks, the Marlins. You can't fault a player for – you don't know what his family's like. You don't know who he has to deal with. You don't know if someone just randomly wakes up one day and doesn't feel comfortable going to work, then that should be his decision to stop working.
Yeah,
it just happened with the Brewers, too, with Lorenzo Cain. Sorry to interrupt.
My counter to that real quick is, why isn't the agent come out and say he's opted out because of COVID reasons? Or just in general, just why is Cespedes even starting the season?
Because you can start the season and be confident in baseball's plan, and then 2 weeks in, there's already dozens of games being canceled because these clubhouses are getting wrapped by this virus. It's different than it was going into the season.
And come out with a statement. I think it's very simple to come out with a statement on both ends. I think both these sides are wrong and not saying anything to the public, because there's no one knows what the hell's going on still.
You look really bad on both parts.
If you're not going to be with me when I'm at my worst, do not be with me when I'm at my best. So if the Mets or whatever, let's just say the Mets started the season 8-0, you're going to say that Yoenis Cespedes would have left. There's absolutely no way. This guy is looking at it like, look, I suck. I'm nowhere near the player I was. The team isn't doing well early in the season. I'm done. I'm not playing.
Wait,
that's what his reason is.
How did this turn into Cespedes sucks? He had a good – he wasn't hitting for average, but nobody expected him to hit for average. He had 2 home runs. He had like 6 RBIs. You can't go out and say, I suck.
Even if the team's doing poorly, it's in his best interest to play the season out. If there's no other health concerns, play the season out and try to get another contract. You didn't say, we're 3-7. Let's just bomb my career and quit.
I think it's very simple. Yoenis Cespedes, he's an enigma. He feeds off the crowd. He needs that crowd. It's not the same atmosphere. It's not the baseball he's in love with. So he went to be back with what he is in love with, his ranch, his kids, his wife, playing golf, doing whatever he wants all the time. He was only making like $1 million this year anyway. I think it's just as simple as that.
Look, I'm only going to say one more thing about this, right? So if no information comes out about why this guy opted out on the year, then I don't understand why anybody would take sides with him. Unless he comes out and personally says, look, I have personal reasons. Look, this is a COVID concern. I don't understand why anybody would take sides with this guy. This guy is a quitter. He quit on your team. Yeah. If, let's just say he were a good player and you guys actually really did need him. I mean, come on, this would be a huge blow.
So why don't you say the same thing about Lorenzo Cain?
It's quitter.
What about Lorenzo Cain?
He came out with a valid reason.
You're just assuming that Cespedes' situation has nothing to do with COVID. You don't know that. You're just saying that. You don't like him as a player, so you're just trying to say this to prove your point. That
the reason why I'm saying that is because it's Cespedes. It's not like it's another player who's never had all this drama around him. This guy, it's clear that isn't the reason. It's clear. There's absolutely no way.
On the surface, it looks
there's no reason why anyone would want to opt out after there's been multiple teams with outbreaks of a virus, right?
All I'm saying is
there's no reason for them to opt out.
The team hasn't been playing well to start, and this guy, he's frustrated, doesn't want to play. That's it. As a Met fan, you guys should be happy. That's all I got.
All right, well, as a Mets fan, we're happy after last night's performance by Jacob deGrom. Is Jacob deGrom on his way to his 3rd Cy Young, and did the Mets finally turn the tides on this season after a big win last night?
Definitely haven't turned the tides whatsoever. It's just when Jacob deGrom comes to pitch, you're going to get 3 or less runs from him pretty much every single time. And yesterday he had a very good first few innings. Then he had a couple, he gave up the home run to d'Arnaud and then another RBI single to Acuna. But other than that, he had 10 strikeouts. He looks very good. His pitch count was a little high. But on the surface of the Mets hitting, I think it was just one of those lucky games that deGrom just got, that he He got some runs. You look at his previous starts, that didn't happen. I don't expect that to continue to happen where he gets all these runs in his starts. Hopefully I'm wrong. But on the surface of all this, the Mets, no, I'm still out. I have to see more. They have to win some series. I got the Nationals and the Marlins coming up. They got to win both those series before I can start turning to say, okay, maybe the Mets have a shot at a wild card spot. But for DeGrom right now, I mean, who's better in baseball? I know you got the Garrett Cole debate, but when you look at the National League side of things, I don't see how he doesn't win a third Cy Young if he's going to continue to pitch like this all year. He hit 101 yesterday.
I'll tell you what, don't sleep on Sonny Gray. And, I hate to say it, but in a shortened season, if Sonny Gray is just going to keep up his performance, I don't think there's any way you could discount this guy.
I think that
the American League.
I think that DeGrom's biggest challenger in the NL, actually, teammate with Sonny Gray, is Trevor Bauer so far, if I was going to go there.
Yeah, Bauer outage got less than a 1 ERA through, I think, like 2 or 3 starts. So.
Yeah, good start for him. Andrew?
Yeah, I mean, to start the season, the Mets, they were 3-7. They've done nothing right. Their rotation outside of DeGrom, awful. Their bullpen was even worse. Their bats have been very cold outside of Conforto and McNeil. But I'm not really worried about the offense. I think that their offense will get clicking. Guys like Ramos should be a little bit better. Cano, if he's healthy now, looks a little bit better. Alonso should start hitting for more power. So I'm not really worried about the lineup. It's just I haven't seen anything to make me think that this rotation and this bullpen is any better than it was last year that tanked them. I don't see any difference. I think they're worse, if anything, this year.
Andrew, I know it's going to pain you to admit it, but Robinson Cano has been damn good this year.
Yes.
He's had like 2 good games in a row. And
he's batting like 400.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cano has been very good this year.
He has 3 good games and then pulls his hand.
Yeah, the biggest win for the Mets yesterday was that Mike Soroka is out for the year, and the Braves rotation looks like it's going to be in dire straits the rest of the year.
I don't use it wide open. It's
and the Mets bullpen, crazy eyes Jared Hughes came through yesterday, and he might be the Mets' new closer pretty soon.
Well, guys, look, I said this last week on the baseball preview show. The Braves, they already had a weak rotation. Now that Mike Soroka's out, their rotation looks even more weak. They clearly do not have a clear ace now. And to me, I think the Nationals, they still have an amazing rotation. They have Juan Soto coming back today, just activated. That's a team they really have to look out for. And, hey, guys, let's turn the tide. So we're talking about Jacob deGrom. We're talking about the best pitcher in baseball. Let's go to the other side of New York. Let's look at the best player in baseball. And right now, I think it has to be none other than Yankees right fielder Aaron Judge. What do you guys think?
Toot your own horn, man.
Yeah.
You could go on a little bit more about that, Pablo.
You couldn't have let me bring it up.
About the best player in baseball.
All right, Steve. So I'll take it away here, right? Since I had to listen to you guys talk about Cespedes for 10 minutes before I even had one thing to say. Aaron Judge, man, what else can you say? This guy, he hit a home run in 5 straight games. The other night against Boston, he hit a go-ahead 3-run homer, and then he hit another go-ahead 2-run homer in the bottom of the 8th inning, man. This guy is on fire. He's the hottest hitter in baseball. This guy, his average is keeping up with him. He's hitting for power. He's getting on base. This guy looks like an absolute complete player. And I'll tell you what, guys, if he can stay healthy and the Yankees can stay healthy and avoid all these COVID problems, I think Aaron Judge is a clear front runner for the AL MVP.
I know it's a short season, so even 10, 11 games in, you can declare a front runner. So you're right about that. I picked Aaron Judge to win MVP in our little prediction. But the question with Aaron Judge was never his talent. No one, if he played a full season, no one doubted that he was an MVP caliber player. So this isn't surprising. It's surprising that he's been healthy this much. So if he continues this for a 60-game season, then he should be right up there with Mike Trout among MVP discussion. So great for him, great for the Yankees that they're off to this phenomenal start, and he's hitting for power, and he's doing everything that he showed you his rookie year when he should have won MVP. But, I mean, this isn't really surprising. If we assumed that he was going to play the first 12 games of the season or so, anything less than this would have been a little bit disappointing.
Pablo, let's pump the brakes a little bit on the Aaron Judge hype train and the Yankees tooting your own horn and everything, because you guys played a weekend series against the Nationals. All right, I'll give you the 2 wins there, but they didn't have Juan Soto. Then you got 2 days off, and you played the Orioles and the Red Sox. So let's pump the brakes a little bit. You're playing the Phillies and you're playing the Rays coming up. You got some good teams, so we'll see how it all works out there.
Well,
It took a week off, so
I'll stop
that
you
shouldn't be too tough.
I'll stop you right there because the East, I don't know what they want to call it, the East Conference or whatever, just the East, you know, the AL East, NL East. Most of the teams are not very good. So just the fact that, you know, things have happened and the schedule has had to be changed, it's not the Yankees' fault. The Yankees are just absolutely dominating any team that comes in their path. And like I said, there's a lot of bad teams. You know, you got the Orioles are not very good. The Red Sox are not very good. They're pitching. I don't know any of their pitchers, and that's crazy. You know, the Yankees are yet to see the Marlins. The Phillies haven't played in a week, so the Phillies were cold, man. So, I mean, the Yankees just right now, we could take on pretty much any team, and nobody wants to see us right now.
Just wake me up, Pablo, when Aaron Judge hits 6 straight home runs in the playoffs. Just let me know when that happens.
All right, you wake me up when the Mets actually make the playoffs.
Here we go.
All right, always has to turn into a personal thing with the Mets and the Yankees and Pablo Hernandez. Let's talk about the MLB and their coronavirus protocols real quick because they have just been very disappointing. Who is more at fault here so far? Is it Rob Manfred or is it the players?
I think it's the players, honestly. As much as I would love to just give Rob Manfred shit, it's honestly, you look at the players who have gotten sick, and there's all speculation that they've left their team hotels, they've gone and done stuff that they weren't supposed to, going to casinos, going to clubs, going to stuff like that, where they obviously should not be doing that if they're trying to get an MLB season in. The protocols they have in place aren't great. There's a ton of flaws with it, but for the teams that follow these protocols, they've been fine. You look at teams like the Cubs and everything, like they've treated this really well and they take it seriously. The players take it seriously. You're not going to get the outbreaks that you see if they're socially distancing, if they're wearing masks and they're doing everything right. Then cases like the Marlins wouldn't happen.
Well, this should have just been a bubble in the first place. I don't know how it's not. I don't know why they're still thinking this was a good idea. But like Andrew said, I mean, now that it's not a bubble, this is all on the players. Literally, like every decision they make is on the players, and they're the reason for the outbreak. Going out is stupid, like during this time. So what else can you say? It is the players' fault.
All right, so MLB originally is at fault for not creating the bubble, like Dan said. You know, if they wanted to split it up between West, Central, and East, they should have had you know, a facility or facilities in Arizona or something in the Central or something in the East. You know, just have a spot where those teams in that region can play. That's what they definitely should have done. But now when you talk about it, all the players, you know, they're getting infected. And to me, I understand you can blame the players, but at the end of the day, I think this virus is almost too contagious not to catch. So there's only but so many precautions you can take before, you know, all it takes is for one person to get it and for him to infect one person, and it just keeps going on. So I understand that everybody wants to throw hate at the players, but it's not like they want to get the virus. Things just happen. Now, I really don't know what they can do. What was that?
It's not like they're staying in their hotel rooms and not going out and then just happen to getting sick. They're going out of their way and doing something they're not supposed to be doing, obviously. And that's what the direct result is these outbreaks.
Pablo, you said you don't want to give any hate on the players. You don't think it's their fault, but this is all their fault because the players, they did not want to go to the bubble. The MLB tried to do a bubble, and the players denied it. They voted no. They said, we don't want to go to Arizona. We don't want to do that. We will not play in the bubble. They wanted to play in their home stadiums. They wanted to be with their families, and guess what? These players go on the road. Derek Jeter, that was a good little cover-up going for they went out to get some milk. Okay. I'll believe that when pigs fly. And the Cardinals going to the casino, you got to be kidding me, man. Like, the players, you have to be under more strict rules, and the MLB is going to have to enforce more strict rules because the players have proven themselves irresponsible. They do not listen. They went to the casino. They went to wherever the Miami Marlins went. I don't know where they went, but Derek Jeter, great cover-up job. They've proven untrustworthy.
Look, Steve, I absolutely agree that MLB, they should stay on top of these players and come up with some type of protocol so things like this doesn't happen. I love what the Marlins are doing. They have like an ambassador who's almost like a monitor and make sure that none of these guys, you know, they go wherever they're not supposed to, make sure they're wearing their masks, make sure they socially distance. That's something that is phenomenal. Every team should have that. Another thing, I think masks eventually, I'd say give it another 2 to 3 weeks, and I'd say they're required for all players to wear, for all coaches to wear. And I just think that's something where you don't know who has it. And if you're not going to be doing daily testing, I think that's something you just have to do, just extra precautious.
I will put that on the MLB. The daily testing thing needs to happen. Having to wait 2 days for results is just unacceptable when you're a billion-dollar organization like that. Let's talk about 2 leagues that are doing it correctly. And the NBA and the NHL have not had any positive tests in over 2 weeks. Which bubble would you rather be at right now? The NHL's bubble or the NBA's bubble?
How's that even a question? The NBA's bubble looks insanely awesome. I mean, you're Disney World, for God's sake. They're going fishing in the lake. They got everything they could possibly want in these hotels. Most of them are, doing the right thing and staying inside. Some guys are didn't let Lou Will, or was it Lou Will that tried to get some wings or something?
Yeah, he got some wings.
Yeah, but other than that, I mean, the bubble looks awesome. I mean, hockey with being in Toronto and Edmonton or something like that. I forget where the other place is. But I mean, it's necessary. The arena looks sick, I have to say. But I mean, I don't know how much you could do in Canada.
No, but you look at what the NHL has done, and they have it over 8,000 tests a day or every 2 days, and they have 0 positive results. The players are taking it seriously. It's in Canada, so it's a lot easier to kind of avoid this virus opposed to being in Orlando. But I mean, the NHL has done everything right. It looks cool with the stadium when they have the seats covered up and they have all the lights and TVs and everything for the teams. So I like what they've done with that. The NBA has done a great job as well. I think both are models, which it's tough for leagues like MLB and NFL to copy because it's a really different sport. The NBA and NHL are similar enough in how they're constructed and how the arenas are set up, where you always see NBA teams and NHL teams sharing stadiums anyway. So their bubbles are obviously going to look a little similar.
Steve, I'll interject here. I absolutely love, that they have the bubble. And like I said in the previous segment, clearly it's easier for them to do. They have less players. There are less teams because they were already further into the season, so some teams are already out. So it's much easier to do the bubble. I also love the fact that for hockey, they're playing in Canada. I'm not sure the exact numbers, but I'm almost positive that their coronavirus numbers aren't as high in Canada as opposed to the United States. So that's something I do think is a major plus for the National Hockey League.
That is the understatement of the year right there.
But for NBA,
barely got any cases compared to us.
I don't know, with NBA, look, Dan said it, you're in Disney World, you're in Florida, you have that awesome, setup of everyone being in the same hotel. To me, it's like a summer camp. And the big thing that I do love is how the presentation looks and how they have the virtual fans. That is something where I think other sports, especially Major League Baseball, they need to come up with a system in place, because I think it's awesome that, you kind of see the game and behind you see fans, because that's us. I'm living through, little Jimmy in the stands. I'm living through whatever person I see jumping up and down. That is me. And I think it's awesome that you're able to see that. And it's a lot better than seeing empty seats or just listening to just weird pitched in volume noises. So I absolutely love what the NBA is doing there.
So it can be tough to watch games with no fans. It has been tough. It's probably tuned a lot of people out. So which of these 3 sports that are playing right now, baseball, basketball, hockey, which one of these games, unbiasedly, because I know Pablo picked baseball, even if the stadium is at Burks Park over here in Saraville, which one of these games are more watchable?
I think, honestly, if you, set the sports aside, regardless of what sport you like, I watched all 3. I think I'd rank them NHL first. Probably, I don't know how I feel about the NBA and MLB. I don't mind the MLB, but it's also because I love baseball. NBA just looks a little off for me. The crowd noise, if someone hits a 3, it doesn't look right without the crowd jumping up and down and stuff like that. I love what the NHL did with the lights and the covering and the seats and everything. So that, I think, is easily the best of the 3. Baseball, it just varies by different stadiums, and not every team is doing the same things with the cardboard cutouts and the fan noise and Fox doing the virtual fans. So, I mean, it's kind of up in the air.
Yeah, looking the best. The NHL definitely has the best presentation of all 3. But I think the NBA is a close second. I mean, you look at both these sports, they're heading into the playoffs. So it's more exciting to watch, and I think they're just better done. I mean, it is smaller having an arena compared to a whole baseball field, but what MLB has done or what these teams have done, it doesn't look good. I mean, with the virtual fans, I think Fox does it sometimes with the show fans, but it looks terrible. Like, it's all off. Doesn't look good. It's hard to do the crowd noise. I mean, you watch like the Premier League or Bundesliga, like they do the crowd noise too, but I mean, it's not going to sync up perfectly. Someone has to push a button to make something happen after it already happens. So at the end of the day, I mean, like, crowd noise, it doesn't really affect me. As long as I can hear the players, I think that's a cool perspective that we now have, that we can't have fans. We can actually hear what the players are saying. I'd rather hear that, to be honest. So, like Andrew said, NHL easily won, but the NBA very close second. MLB just has been pretty bad lately.
Look, obviously baseball is my favorite sport. And I do agree with Dan on what he said, his takes on the NBA and the NHL. Their presentation is off the charts. It is incredible. I'm jealous. But baseball, to me, people already say baseball is boring. Baseball with no fans, it's dead. It's dead, and it's even more boring than what people say. It's absolutely – look, if I'm not watching the Yankees, I can't watch the game. That's how boring baseball is, especially with no crowds. If they're not going to mic up the players, if they're not going to have better crowd noises, if they're not going to do what Fox did with the fans, not other sports networks, not like Yes Network or their virtual fan thing, it looks horrible. Fox, whatever they did, it looked amazing. I just wish Fox could take care of every major league game. So to me, baseball's the worst. I'd probably say NHL. I really haven't seen too much NHL games, but it does. I love the fact that it's very centered in. So the glass is the main priority, and that's something that the spotlight, I don't know, it just looks awesome. So I'd probably go NHL, NBA, MLB, definitely.
Yeah, I think we're all kind of in agreement here. NHL and NBA are miles ahead of the MLB, which I expected because they're in the bubble. They can control everything, and the MLB it's up to 30 different areas of the United States. The NHL, I love what they did with the television behind everything, the lights. It's all very centered in. The camera cuts, all perfect. NBA, not quite as good as the NHL, but still very good, much better than what you're getting in the MLB. The MLB definitely varies from stadium to stadium. But as I was watching, all I could notice was just the silence and the emptiness when I was watching the Yankees and the Nationals last week. The Nationals Park, sometimes the cardboard cutouts can make it feel a little more homey, a little more better. And then the Nationals just said, screw it. We're not wasting any cardboard. We're going all empty, and it doesn't look good with empty stadium. It's also
a big open stadium. It's not like the NHL and NBA. They're already inside, so it almost it feels nice and homey. The fact that you only see the players and you really don't have to see the crowd. But for baseball, a foul ball is hit or a home run, you're kind of forced to look at the empty seats, and that's something where the other sports don't have that problem.
That's where I don't get that the MLB couldn't get creative and put out posters, advertising things. There's so much space. Just cover it. It just looks bad with empty seats. Points.
You look at like a NASCAR race. I mean, they don't sell out all their – when they were still racing with fans, they don't sell out all their seats. What do? They put these giant cutouts on the seats so it looks a little better. So that the MLB should be trying to decorate their stadiums to at least, cut the camera lower, have the fake fans, the cardboard cutouts so it looks – more like a game. And then secondly, with the MLB, I mean, their idea to this would have been the easiest year to do miking up of players and showing that perspective. But the best they could come up with is interviewing the manager every game and some random manager I don't care about. I'm watching the Mets Red Sox game. It's this bench coach for the Red Sox who's now manager. I don't care what he has to say about the Red Sox. I mean, it's not interesting. They're not miking up their best players. So it's such a big loss of opportunity that they've had.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they could have definitely granted fans more access, and there's so many things the MLB could have done, and they kind of just phoned it in. So the MLB definitely, I love baseball, but man, it's been a disappointing look to most of these games I've been watching. The Lakers in that Disney bubble, they clinched the number 1 seed in the Western Conference, something that people said LeBron could never do. But can anybody beat them now? Are the Lakers the team to beat in the NBA?
I mean, when you look at the Western Conference, I only see the Clippers really contending with the Lakers. I mean, just the way Anthony Davis has come out since then. LeBron's never had a player like Anthony Davis on his team. Kyrie Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade, they don't compare to anything that AD has brought to this team. You could arguably say AD right now is the best player on the Lakers. So when you look at that duo, they have great chemistry. I mean, they've been friends for a while now, and it just shows that, I mean, there's so much space on the floor when one of them have the ball. It's going to be very tough. I mean, you look at the Lakers-Clippers game the other night. The Clippers had a very close game. Kawhi didn't have his greatest game either. And then once Lou Will comes back, maybe they have a shot. And I wouldn't count out the Clippers at all. I think that could be a 6 to 7 game series and could go either way. But, I mean, you look at the other teams like the Nuggets, they haven't looked good. I mean, I've seen – I don't know if it's like a fake thing on Twitter, but every guy in their lineup's over 6'7". I don't know what the hell they're doing. I mean, the Houston Rockets, they could contend. I don't think they have the players to guard Anthony Davis and LeBron if they were to go head-to-head, so that would be pretty big mismatches. And obviously, we know James Harden's playoff woes. So out of the Western Conference, I think the Lakers are definitely the lead dog, but the Clippers right there, that could go either way.
Yeah, I think it's definitely Los Angeles versus everybody. I don't really see anybody else in the Western Conference making a really great run at it. Maybe if they got hot during the regular season or something, it could have happened. But now with all this time off, and I think that the Lakers and Clippers, those are the teams to beat. And in the East, if you get there, I think the Bucks, they could dethrone them. But, man, I don't really know. The East, it's just going to be tough to see any of those guys beat the Lakers. I think it's really a 3-horse race for the NBA Finals this year.
Well, yeah, with the East, I mean, like, I don't even know what's going on. I mean, today I was going to bet the Nets plus 19. I should have bet their money line because they beat the Bucks. So, like, I don't know what I'm getting from the Bucks. I don't know if they're really caring. They're just overlooking the Nets. I mean, they already pretty much locked up that 1 seed almost. So maybe they're just overlooking teams, but I don't feel so confident with the Bucks right now.
Yeah, they definitely need a little more tune-up before the playoffs start because that Nets loss to the whatever Nets team you want to call it because it's not the regular Nets. So, yeah, that's definitely a tough start for the Bucks. Let's talk football for a bit. We haven't talked football in, like, months almost. But let's talk because the deadline for opting out for players is Thursday at 4 p.m. How many more players do you expect to see opt out?
Can we talk about how ridiculous it is they get to opt out this early for the NFL?
It is early.
You don't know what training camp looks like. You don't know what games are going to look like. Like, it's unfair to the players to have to make this kind of decision. I think having them decide this early is going to make – I don't even know if it's going to increase or decrease the opt-outs because you don't want to – because you can look at it from the player's perspective and they don't know what they're going into, so it could make them more hesitant. But also it could, like, stop them from opting out once they see the actual conditions. So I'm not sure.
Yeah, this is terribly early. I mean, you should at least let these guys go through camp. I mean, no one these guys, they don't want to go through camp. So if they were to go through camp and they feel uncomfortable, they should be able to opt out. I don't see how that's even like a talking point. Like, camp sucks. Like, these guys don't want to just go through camp and just lose all their money here.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that there. I think Dan might have froze. Pablo, you got a thought on this? Did Pablo freeze trying to fake?
No, I'm messing with you guys.
All right.
Wait. So
Dan has returned.
what was the question?
Man.
I missed it.
What happened?
You froze for like a minute.
Was I talking when I was frozen?
No.
And then Pablo fake froze and tricked us all.
Oh. Well, I don't know where I cut off. That sucks.
Pablo, continue.
Fucking internet.
What were we talking about? Because I froze for a second.
Oh, yeah, you willingly froze for a second. It was about NFL players. The opt-out deadline is –
Yeah, no. Obviously, there shouldn't be a deadline to opt out. There should never be something where it's like, oh, my God, I'm not sure if I want to play. All right, I'm going to play. I'm not going to play. You know what? I'm not going to play, even though there's no reason why you're not going to play. There should always be something where if you do not feel comfortable playing, you should have that opportunity to not play. But unlike Yoenis Cespedes, please give a reason to the team, if not the public. You get what I'm saying? So somebody has to know. You can't just say I'm not playing. Come up with a reason.
Yeah, we haven't seen very many big-name players.
Here we go.
Did we
He's
lose
frozen
Steve
now, right? Am I going crazy?
All right. Is it my turn to get frozen now? Okay.
I don't know. I feel like – am I crazy here?
No. Well, Steve's definitely frozen now. So
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
No, we're back, Steve. Welcome back.
All right. Well, let's opt out of this conversation and move on to the next thing because Obviously, somebody doesn't want us to talk
Who
about
doesn't
this.
want us talking about this?
I think Roger Goodell is pressing a button behind the scenes or something.
Really?
Antonio Brown suspended 8 games by the NFL. Will anybody take a chance on him this year?
I think
Short.
unless he gets any further punishment, if it's guaranteed that after 8 games you can get Antonio Brown and a team feels confident that he's like mentally okay to play, I think someone will take a shot on him. I think he look like a team like Baltimore, who has such a stacked roster, and they can add a guy like Antonio Brown for pretty cheap probably to just bolster their Super Bowl odds. I think someone has to pull the trigger on it.
There's enough headaches already going on with the season. Why surround your team with a guy like this? It's getting ridiculous. I mean, I don't know why his name is still getting thrown around. At this point, there should be no team that wants to go anywhere near this guy.
Listen, you see how many times teams take shots on players. You look at guys like Alden Smith got back in the league, Josh Gordon a bunch of times, and they're not completely different scenarios than what Antonio Brown's done. I'm not condoning Antonio Brown as a person. I'm just saying that talent is way above anyone else. There's been a lot worse players who've gotten second chances and third chances, fourth chances. That someone has to at least try to look into Antonio Brown.
Last year, Antonio Brown won our Odell Beckham-itis bracket challenge, and next year, some team could use his help to win a Super Bowl after 8 games. I'm telling you, if a contender who needs a wide receiver, it will be a money move to get Antonio Brown on a cheap deal. If you can deal with the headaches, if you can find a team like the Baltimore Ravens who could use him, I really think that Antonio Brown could be a great pickup.
Pablo's in disgust right now.
Yeah, Pablo, let's hear your thoughts on this.
I don't care how good of a talent anybody is. If you are a troublemaker, especially somebody who has had the type of trouble and the type of accusations that Antonio Brown has had, he does not deserve to play he does not deserve to play in the NFL ever again. This guy's actions are despicable, regardless of the fact that he's one of the greatest talents we have seen in the last 10 years. You're going to sign a guy after he hadn't played all season. He's going to come off a suspension. It's going to be a drama act, man. It's going to be the Antonio Brown show all postseason long if it ever gets to that. You don't want that if you're a team. So this guy doesn't deserve it.
He may not deserve it, but in a year where all these players are going to be out and the NFL is going to be so cautious, the players will test positive for this virus. You know it's going to happen. Antonio Brown is going to get a shot if he can play still. It doesn't matter. He's going to get a shot, and you know he's going to get a shot.
Well, Steve, I have another league that might be interested in Antonio Brown. And under new ownership, now you might argue that this other league is more cool than it has ever been. So what are your guys' takes on Antonio Brown possibly going to the XFL? And what are your takes on the new owner of the XFL, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson?
I think Antonio Brown will get a shot in the NFL before he goes to the XFL. The XFL probably won't be starting up next year. Probably looking at a 2022 start date. So Antonio Brown might get another Super Bowl or something in there in between then. But I think that the XFL, when it does start back up, you couldn't have a better person at the helm of it. I don't think there's a lot of people who talk about Dwayne Johnson, and there have not been many very bad words said about the guy. He has everything he's done. He's turned into a success. He already has a new tequila brand taking off. He became a movie star. He was one of the biggest stars in WWE history. This guy is just a great businessman. And I think that when he's passionate about something, there's no stopping Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. And I think that he's so passionate about football, being a former Miami Hurricanes player, that he will not let this league fail. He will not do it. And I think that this is the best possible thing that could have happened in the XFL.
You know what, Steve? That is the exact answer I was looking for. And for The Rock, he's going to make football, especially XFL, cool again. This is a very, very big news statement for this company. And it's going to take a major step forward, especially since Vince McMahon and his goons aren't behind anything anymore.
Now, do you think there is a little bit of animosity between The Rock and Vince McMahon for The Rock coming in and swooping the XFL from Vince McMahon?
Well, look, The Rock is forever going to be one of Vince McMahon's babies. There's nothing that The Rock can actually really do to affect Vince McMahon because he has made him millions. He's made him billions of dollars in the past. So from what I hear yesterday, backstage at Monday Night Raw, Vince McMahon was very angry. He was very upset. Now, you can say he was upset about other reasons, but you could also say that he was upset because The Rock purchased the XFL. And for what many people think, they think that The Rock purchased it and it was undervalued. They think that it should have been
$15 million.
That's nothing.
I couldn't believe it.
That's nothing. Look, Yoenis Cespedes, if he really wanted to, he could have, for all we know, he could have opted out of the season because he purchased the XFL. You know, he could afford something like that. So $15 million for a company, especially being run and having the leadership of The Rock, a major megastar, this company is only going to take off, and it's going to be bigger and badder than it has ever been before.
Yeah, I 100% agree about the undervalue thing. $15 million was a shocking number to me. I really expected more than that. That is not a lot of money right there. The Mets are paying Jed Lowry more than that to sit on the bench right now. Let's take that segue there because Vince McMahon was in a terrible mood right yesterday. And something happened on Monday Night Raw that's never happened before. Dan, Andrew, I know it's one of your guys' favorite movies. You know Fight Club, right? Great movie. First rule about it, don't talk about it. We now have our own Fight Club on Monday Night Raw. It goes by the name of Raw Underground, and I'm going to break the first rule because I'm going to talk about it. Pablo, I know you saw it yesterday. It's pretty hard to miss. Tell me what you thought about Raw Underground.
Well, I saw minutes of it. I didn't know what was happening. I just saw guys being thrown around. I didn't see any type of structure to it. Personally, I hate it. I don't care for what that company has to do. It might be different. Different doesn't mean it's good. You cannot have real wrestling in a scripted sport. You can't have real fighting in a scripted sport. To me, it might not be lazy, but it's not the change that we need. And I know you saw that documentary, The Dark Side of the Ring, and they had the Brawl for All. This is kind of like a Brawl for All, but not in the ring, kind of like a low-budget Brawl for All, but that's less cool, So to me, this didn't have to happen. And if you're a fan of World Wrestling Entertainment, I mean,
how could it be less cool? You have wrestling, you have strippers around the ring, literal strippers on Monday Night Raw around the ring. It was, I think it tried a little too hard, but as long as they know what they are, just something different was. I'm not going to judge you after 1 week. It was different. It kind of got me interested a little bit.
Steve, I actually don't even know what's going on. Like, can you explain it to me? Because I honestly don't know what's going on.
I don't really know what's going on either, and I think that's why people are interested. I think that's why people will tune in. I think it'll get the ratings up for at least a week. It's shock television. That's what it is. But I can't really judge it after a week. It's definitely interesting. That's my only word for it because I really don't know. I'm interested. That's what I am. But let's segue from that company to another company. Pablo, I know you wanted to talk about it. We had a question about it. Bobby Krepik wants to know, is MJF the next AEW World Champion?
Yes. Maxwell Jacob Friedman will be the next All Elite Wrestling World Heavyweight Champion. And this is going to come very shortly. It's going to come at All Out. MJF has been to me, he's been the biggest star that this company has put together. The biggest star that has been kind of like in the rear window or in the back seat when you look at what they've done in All Elite Wrestling. This guy should have been a champion by now. But I do love the fact that they built him up and built him up and built him up to the fact that this guy is a mega heel and this guy is a monster and this guy ultimately will be the world champion, and he deserves it, man. Now, what's better than having a great heel? You build up a baby face, and whoever eventually knocks off Maxwell Jacob Friedman and takes that title away from him is going to be a made man in that company.
Couldn't say any better than that. 100% agree with that. And I really, right now, I look at the AEW roster, I really don't know who it could be. You see some options with Darby Allin. You see Jungle Boy, but they just don't scream world champion material to me. So I think it may be somebody who's not even on the roster right now, or maybe even a guy like Zack Ryder who just showed up there in AEW. Maybe he has a career change. I know you don't like that answer, but it could happen. We'll see. We'll see who they build up because they need some more faces in that company. I think it might even be a guy who's already a made man. You could have Kenny Omega because I think it's his time to get back in that main event scene. He's built up enough stars and hung around the tag team scene enough. Or it could be a guy like Adam Hangman Page who could be that next big face, and him and MJF could have a great feud. Let's talk NASCAR real quick before we get to our final question. Dan, I know I told you about this. Brad Keselowski re-signed, but on the other side of the coin, Levine Family Racing, Christopher Bell, the 95, they're selling at the end of the year. So it obviously means Brad Keselowski's not going to the 48. Could we see Christopher Bell go to the 48?
I mean, when you look at the rookies this year, I mean, the overall, younger guys, Hendrick's always looking for those younger guys, especially to take over for a 48 car who's been driven by Jimmy Johnson for almost 20 years now. So I could see a guy like Christopher Bell. I know Jeff Gordon's very high on him, and I know he has a say in Hendrick's matters. Hendricks and Jeff Gordon are great friends. So I could see him pushing for that move. I mean, Gordon was the one that pushed for the Jimmy Johnson move, and that worked out. He loves Christopher Bell. He's always talking about him during the races. I mean, lately Christopher Bell has been in that top 10 scene. Since if he is, leaving Levine Family Racing, now he'll get those better cars, those Hendrick cars. I could see him being a better driver than probably Byron and maybe even Bowman. I really like Christopher Bell. I think he's a little dorky, but he's a good driver.
Yeah, I think that Christopher Bell would be a great choice for the 48 and probably the best choice they could make unless they can get Eric Jones away from JGR. Yeah. But, yeah, Keselowski, that would have been a perfect fit for the 48, even though I'm not the biggest Brad Keselowski fan. But Christopher Bell might be too good to pass up. That's why I don't know if Joe Gibbs Racing will pass him up. I can see Eric Jones in the 48 and Bell to the 20. But, yeah, some little NASCAR drama on the show right there. Final question, PK Patel, he wants to know, is Bobby Shmurda coming home? Anyway, nobody has some news on Bobby Shmurda?
Not happening today.
He was at his parole hearing
Tuesday.
Today. Yeah, or Tuesday. Yeah, it's this week. It's happening this week.
I guess we'll know by next episode.
Honestly, do I care? No.
Maybe you'll see him, Pablo.
Maybe he'll come to your prison.
Look, I'll tell you what. He just doesn't go to wherever I work. Bobby Shmurda, I think he will get out. That's really all I have to say. I don't care about Bobby Shmurda. I only know one song, and I can't say those words on air. Aside from that, I don't care about Bobby Shmurda.
You can't act like that wasn't the hottest song of summer 2014, though.
I mean, it was hot. It was hot. But you know what? I'm hot as well. Nobody talks about me. So, who cares, man?
All right. On that note, Dan, you got anything to say to the Before the Score crowd?
About Bobby Shmurda?
Not about Bobby Shmurda.
Not anything about Bobby Shmurda.
Bobby Shmurda's getting out, but you're going somewhere. So.
Oh, yes. That is correct. This is hopefully, I mean, we saw this in March. I was supposed to leave with the American Junior Golf Association, but now I'll be leaving Saturday for my flight. I'll be working there for who knows how long, maybe 6 to 8 weeks. We'll see how long I'll be down there. But, I mean, I'll be stopping by if we're going to be on Zoom like this. I'll be stopping by for 15, 20 minutes when I can. Hopefully I can. And, yeah, it should be a fun time. I'm excited.
Yeah, I've heard this before. I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah, I'll believe it when I see it, too, when I'm on the flight to Georgia.
Yeah, you have to get on the flight because last time that went quick.
The day before, man. That was crazy.
Well, good luck. We hope that you'll be stopping by. Find some time in that busy schedule to come talk Mets and Yankees with Mr. Pablo, the worst Yankees fan I know.
Yeah.
That's Before the Score, episode number 32. Thanks for joining us, everybody.